everyone, welcome back to my channel. Right, we're on the last leg now. We obviously have completed the cover, we've completed all the pages, so now it's just kind of all the tags and the inserts that we're going to put into the journal. Obviously kind of we've talked about the fact it's pretty chunky, so you know it may be that we want to kind of keep the tags and things more paper, you know, paper-like rather than kind of thick, bulky, you know, massive tags. I have been through my kind of stash of tags and I've pulled out a few tags that I thought may go quite nicely in the journal, but I'm aware that obviously, you know, the intention was to kind of do the whole journal together with you. So what I thought we'd do is make a few things, pop them in, see how many kind of slots we've got left and see whether we can then kind of bump it out with kind of some of the ready-made and ready completed things. I've also brought along a few little kind of folded you know, flip outs and things of paper, because they're obviously nice and thin and won't bulk it out too much. So you know, we'll kind of see how we're coming along once we've made a couple of tags. So I'm going to move the journal out of the way. I should have kind of introduced the episode properly and obviously forgot. So I have lost track. I think this is episode 11, but I could be wrong and it could be 12, so I apologise now. I think I have bought my bone folder. And would you believe, I actually thought, oh, I'm going to have a bit of a clear up and get a bit more organised for this video. And now the second that I've switched the camera on, I've instantly lost half of my things straight away. Which is so annoying because I had really pledged to be super organised on this one. Right, because I'm aware that we've obviously got a lot to do, so you know, I don't want to kind of take up even more time than necessary. So what I've done, I've cut a few things kind of ready to get cracking straight away. So this was some scrapbook paper. It coordinates with some of the paper that we've already used in the journal, so I thought it was kind of perfect. And what I thought we'd do is just make a kind of pull-out booklet, because obviously the journal, you know, is quite full and quite decorated on most of the pages. So I thought we'll have a few kind of pull-out booklets that obviously give you extra journaling space. So literally, I cut from a 12 by 12 piece this kind of, not quite square, but not far off. And obviously now I've just, you know, on video, just folded it like that. And then what I'll do is around the corners. Now what I might do first is just check that it's going to fit into, you know, one of the side pockets on the page, because they're not all like it, but obviously I have made a lot of the pages little pockets. So I just want to check that that is going to fit, because obviously they have been glued, so you know, and it's lucky that I've checked because it's not quite fitting. So move that out there again. I'm going to cut it down slightly. And of all the things to have mislaid, oh, there they are. Oh gosh, I mislaid my scissors now. Nothing like being on camera, is there, for highlighting all of your faults. Actually, I will cut it slightly more. And I will cut it slightly this way as well, because obviously, you know, the pockets may not kind of be as deep as I'm thinking. So just get rid of those to the side, and we'll just round the corners like that. And then what we'll do is, obviously you know, I could stitch in some pages, but obviously I haven't got my sewing machine here, so I don't want to, you know, be really tedious kind of going downstairs with the sewing machine. So I've just taken some of those initial pages, you know, from the inside of a book, and I thought we'd use some of those because I don't really like throwing things away. And obviously they're perfect because they're normally, you know, nice quality paper, and you know, they'd otherwise be kind of not really used. So just take that one, cut it down like that, And obviously I don't want to throw anything away, so I'll keep that little scrap just in case I might use it for something later. Okay, might have to trim that slightly more. And then we'll just have kind of a second, you know, layer. So again, I've just got, it's from a different book, but another one of those kind of inside pages. And it's quite nice. I quite like using the different kind of sheets because I think it kind of adds a bit of interest when you're kind of flicking through and they're different sheets of paper. So if I just cut that down there, and then what I'll do, I'll put them together and trim the pair of them together. I will throw that one away because there really wasn't much left. Yeah, I think it kind of adds interest to see the different pages, and I'm going to leave the torn edges at the bottom because again I quite like that and think it makes it a little bit more interesting. So I'm just going to trim that down a little bit more so as it fits inside the booklet. Oh my gosh. Right, so there we go. So I might add one more page if I've got some. Now what I've got here, this is a copy of some of the vintage ephemera that I bought. It was a copy of the letter, and I mistakenly said on a previous video that I had done them on a laser printer, and I was baffled why the colour had run. I had obviously got some done on a laser printer where I'd paid, but I had also done some myself, and I must have obviously got the two piles mixed up because, you know, I don't think a laser printer would run like that. But it's created this kind of rainbow effect, and the writing has just gone really faded. So I rather like that and thought actually I'm going to use that as one of the pages in this booklet, because obviously you could just journal over that because it's very faint. So I rather like that. So I'm just going to fold that in like that. Okay. And then I'll just cut that off. Cut that bottom bit off because I had obviously cut something kind of from the side and the edge of it was still on there. So I'll just check that that's kind of fitting in there perfectly. Yep, that fits well. So what I'm going to do is obviously, as I said, not obviously stitch it with the sewing machine. I'm just going to staple it so that we can, you know, save a bit of time. So I've got my larger stapler, which, would you believe, still doesn't quite reach the middle. So I'm going to actually paper clip the whole bunch together. So that I can kind of fold it over without missing where I want to staple. I'm just going to kind of fold that over like that, and then just staple just two, one there, and one there. So it's just you know, made a little booklet. So I'll just refold that with the bone folder. And then what I thought we'd do is obviously decorate the front of it slightly so that it's got, you know, so it's tying in nicely with the journal itself. So I have obviously got a variety of things here beside me. So we could use some of this paper, which obviously we've used quite a bit inside the journal already. And what I'll do is just literally tear it like that. And I might just have one side torn because I rather like that, but I am going to trim this side because it's not very straight. Like that. And if I was to pop that on there, and then I've got some pre-stamped images which I just thought I would bring along, and you know, we could kind of just use something from the pre-stamped images really. I mean, just again, this is just to be able to speed up the process a little bit, because obviously these videos are really going on, aren't they? And although I'm still really, really loving them. And actually, thank you so much to everyone for sticking with them. It has been a journey, but you know, I've really enjoyed it. So hopefully you guys have, and I know that some people have because they have commented, so thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate it. As I said on the previous video where I did the cover, I was beginning to really lose confidence in the process and kind of worry that I was kind of the only person actually enjoying it. So, you know, your comments really do mean a lot to me, so thank you very much. I think kind of doing these videos, I'm, you know, hopefully getting more used to it now. But certainly, I mean, kind of, I really, really did hate doing them. Really hated doing them. And it was just purely because obviously they really do help to kind of show your items fully, you know, when kind of listing them in your shop and things like that. But obviously then I wanted to kind of give something back really to the crafting community, so I started doing these process videos, and I've done a few tutorials now, and yeah, I don't say that I'm loving them, and certainly sometimes, you know, I don't kind of tend to watch the videos back particularly, but occasionally I do, just to kind of check a couple of things are okay or in frame, or you know, that I kind of think, oh, what did I say there? Did I, you know, have I repeated myself, or did I kind of say something was bought from somewhere and it wasn't, you know, or kind of things like that. But on the whole, I don't especially kind of watch them. But having said that, I have really, really, really enjoyed doing these, this series. So, you know, thank you so much for, you know, for viewing and kind of then therefore spurring me on and, you know, allowing me kind of to do them, because obviously if you weren't all watching there would be little point in me doing them. But I've really enjoyed it because sometimes, you know, you just fancy chatting and things, and you know, it's nice to kind of craft along and actually be chatting away, and you know, the time kind of flies by when doing these videos. And to be honest, I can talk for England, so yeah, definitely that's not something that I struggle with. So that's always been a hobby of mine, chatting, so so that's not a struggle at all. So I quite like that just as it is. We could have the word amazing, which actually maybe just kind of finishes that off nicely, so I'll just ink that up as well. But as you can see, I mean, it's just literally, you know, a handful of things that we've just stuck on there just to kind of tie it in nicely with the journal. So we could have a flower. There as if it's kind of, you know, with the leaves. Yeah, I quite like that. Although that flower's quite large. I wonder if I've got a smaller one that I could use. Nope, that one's still quite large. Just seeing if I've got any flowers here that I can kind of, you know, pull apart and use here instead, because I feel that that one is quite monstrous on that. And now I've just noticed I've been moving my lamp. Let's have a look. So I'm not going to know what to do with myself, obviously, once I've finished this journal. So yeah, I'll have to kind of, I don't know, maybe do another journal with you guys. You know, I know that people have said they're enjoying it, but, you know, I hope that I'm not now making you think, oh no, not another one. We have managed to stick with it so far, and now I'm just going to do another one. Or, you know, perhaps I'll just do kind of just random process videos for a while. Kind of spare you an entire series, because maybe it is a bit much. I mean, strangely enough, I was very nervous about doing the cover. And actually, strangely, I've been quite nervous about doing these tags and things. Possibly because these you know, filling the journals and the cover, oh, I can't pull this flower apart now, are kind of my least favourite parts of doing a journal. And so, you know, possibly that's why I've been kind of dreading doing them. Oh, I can't pull that flower apart. So I might just not have a flower, to be honest, on it. Oh, we could have that one. Oh, that's a bit too small, which actually that pink one would have been too. So lucky I didn't persevere. So that's the first little thing that we're going to have, a little pull-out booklet. Just ink that up around the edges, just so that it looks nice and vintage. There we go. So that's the first one. Now I'm going to put these kind of to one side, and then we'll kind of go through the journal and kind of slot things in. Now also, just before I kind of came on to do the video, I have just tentatively kind of stuck down, or in advance stuck down, a couple of bits of the paper, just to make a couple of smallish tags. So just cut those like this, just really to save a bit of time and obviously spare you just watching. You know, we're just literally sticking the card on just to make the tag a little bit more rigid. So I thought you didn't obviously necessarily want to be watching that. So I've just literally stuck them onto, this was actually just the title page of a little paper pack that I had, but the back is obviously plain buff coloured. I have intentionally kind of left this blank because I love the shape of this element, and I have actually used that on the cover of another journal. So I'm intending on obviously cutting that out and using that somewhere along the line. Not for this journal, but one day I will use it. So I just thought we'll just make a couple of tags here with these. Now these, you know, we just want to kind of do just a couple of kind of quite simple tags that just, you know, they're just to literally coordinate with the journal itself, really. So, you know, we'll just literally layer up a couple of pieces on them. Again, I've got more of these lovely Martha Stewart butterflies. So we'll just take a couple of those. Kind of could layer them around. Just see what else I have brought along with me. I have got here a little journaling spot, and I've also brought along some fabric embellishments. These are what I used on my little trim that's a bit similar, I think, to a snippet roll. So I thought we could use those maybe, just kind of stuck down. And I also did bring along a couple of the, you know, from the Master Builders book, a couple of the pages from that I thought we could just use to kind of decorate some of the tags with. So I'm just literally tearing off little pieces of text just to kind of have a bit more going on the tag. So, you know, we could have that kind of like that. We could have that off to the side. That's, you know, I quite like that. You know, and then we could actually have, which is strange because I did ink that up, but you can't really see because it's actually picked up quite a bit of the dark kind of glitter. So I might use this one. Could have a butterfly somewhere there. And obviously we'll just dress around the edge of the tag as well. So I might just pop this on. It to the side a bit more, and then we'll just distress ink this. Oops, got obviously a bit much ink on there. Okay, I mean it doesn't matter, it's fine. So we could pop that like that, and then I'm going to distress ink this little fabric piece. So in fact I'm going to just use that little scrap from the book page. Again, I hope I'm in frame here, to just distress ink over that image. Just kind of brings it into the journal a bit better, I feel. like that. And actually I also brought along obviously some of the lace that we've been using, which will tie it all together as well. So if I just do the corners, like that, and then just dressing around the tag. Now I did count the spots that need tags and things. I'm sure it came to 27. There could have been ones that I've actually missed, and obviously we don't necessarily need to fill every single one, because it might be nice for obviously whoever gets the journal to actually fill a couple of them, you know, with their own things, rather than me kind of hog the whole journal. So you know, that might be kind of nice for the owner to kind of do. But equally, it still means we've got a fair amount to do. So I hope that I'm going to get through this in one video, but it may be that we won't. But I will do my best. But I don't have overly long this morning. So we'll try and get through this. Now I also brought along the fabric that we used for the cover, because I thought I could use that to make tabs, obviously, for the tags, because I thought that would tie it in nicely, obviously, to the cover. So I'm going to start by obviously gluing this journaling spot. I'm going to glue it there, like that. And we've got a fabric piece there that just again, and I think I have said this before, I mean, I do find this glue is pretty good and it glues the fabric just fine, you know, so depending, I guess, on the glue, you know, would kind of depend on whether or not it's going to be well stuck, but I do think that this particular glue is pretty good. So just pop that down like that. And then I'm just going to make this slightly narrower. Maybe cut it from the green side. Might just kind of try and pull some threads there. Oh, I don't think it's that type of fabric, actually. I don't think any threads are really coming off. I should have just torn the fabric. Anyway, it's fine, it doesn't matter. And then what I will do is just literally staple that, and again I'll just use my big stapler because my other one's in the bag, and because I'm trying to do this as quick as I can, I won't you know, now rummage around finding that, because obviously it will all take up time. And I'm just going to stick that trim on with the glue gun, just to save a bit of time. But actually what I'm going to do is I have got some tissue here. Just going to wipe the end of the glue gun, because the glue is kind of drying up on here. If you can see, it's quite yellow. So every so often what I do is just literally wipe around it. Now unfortunately it does kind of need to be wet, because obviously for it to come off, it's kind of like the rust, I guess, of the metal. But yeah, I mean, obviously I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that. And if you do, make sure that you've got your tissue kind of, or your wipe or your cloth, you know, quite layered up, because obviously that's red hot, and you would not want to kind of burn yourself on that. So I'm just going to now pop that little butterfly on there, like that. So that's 2 items down. So 25 to go. Might just put a bit of lace on here, because actually I didn't put any on, and this would just tie it in really nicely, wouldn't it? So just pop that down there. Like that. Okay, so that's 2. Now I might not do this small one at the moment, because I'm sure you don't want to just see a repeat kind of you know, very similar tag to what we've just done. So I have now also cut a couple of quite large tags, Now what I thought we could do with these is stick them on to some kind of buff coloured card that I've got here, and kind of do them as an outline. I wonder if I've got enough here. I'm not quite, so I'm just going to cut that down slightly. And then what I'm going to do, I made a very similar tag to this that I really liked how it turned out. So I've brought it along to kind of try and emulate it a little bit. It's this tag here. I really loved how it turned out, and what I'd done, but obviously I don't feel this one would go particularly well with the colours of the journal. So what I thought I would do is, as I did here, was tear out a chunk that we can pop in some of that Master Builder book just behind there. So I'm just going to literally tear that out. I liked how that turned out and thought it looked, you know, quite effective. So literally like that. I think that looks really good. So I might just start by literally sticking this piece down onto here. Like that. And then I will just stick it here, just so it's, you know, well stuck. And obviously the tag's going to go on top, but I don't want any problems, you know, and issues with the tag. So just have it like that. And then you see, once I pop the tag on, it just kind of goes over that like that. And actually what I'm going to do is just trim slightly. Slightly too, so the edges kind of match up. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I've actually got a fold in this buff coloured card right here, and it was actually kind of then going to be hitting onto the fold. And what I want to do is have an outline like I have on this one around the tag, because I thought that looked quite effective. So I'm going to put that to one side for a moment, and then what we'll do is glue this tag on. Glue it all about. Like that. Just put loads and loads of glue there. My glue's not coming out brilliant today, actually. Which again, I mean, this was a new glue, so I'm not sure why it's, you know, not really cooperating brilliantly today, but it's just got that Monday morning feeling, I think. So, and we know how that feels, don't we? So we'll let it off. Right. So I'm just going to pop that down like that. Make sure it's nicely stuck. Like that, all around the edges. And then what I think we could do is use some of the flowers that we have been using in the journal kind of on the tag, kind of tie it all in like that. Now if I'm kind of trying to copy this a little bit, obviously I'm now quite limited on my little supplies that we have been using. So I can't go too mad. So unfortunately, I mean, I would love to have this large flower, but I don't really have enough left, and I want to kind of make sure I have things left for the rest of the tags. So what we could do, I mean, we're just kind of, you know, we're not trying to actually mimic or, you know, match, you know, make an identical tag. We're just literally trying to kind of, you know, take the idea of that tag and make a similar one. So I've got this frame, as you know, I love my frames. You know, I wonder about kind of just having a couple of things like this kind of placed around the, on the tag. I thought I did have a butterfly. Let's see if I can, I've got this butterfly, we could use that somewhere. And I mean, I do love using these kind of buff coloured elements because I think they're just, they're a way of just standing out slightly, but not too much. You know, not too kind of in your face really. So I do like that. I've also brought along this little piece here. I quite like that. I could kind of layer it up like that. And I quite like that. What does everyone else think? That looks quite good. And I mean, actually I've got some more fabric pieces. So I mean, we could have, you know, a fabric piece somewhere, but, or we could use another piece of the book like we have done on this tag here. So what I do, if I just tear along there, if we were to have kind of that, oops, just kind of poking out maybe, kind of like that. I think that looks quite nice. So I'm just going to kind of, you know, glue this down. I'm really trying not to overthink it today because, you know, I really am trying to get through this in kind of fast time really, before I have to go. So, you know, to go and pick my daughter up from nursery. And I'm obviously trying to get really as much done as we can. Because then if we don't get through it, I'm not sure whether you would be able to stomach yet another video of this, or whether actually you would prefer that then I just kind of stuff it in slow time and then bring you the finished article. For some reason I've got a kind of slightly pointy corner on that butterfly, which I didn't like. I have to take that off. Right, so I'm just going to glue this piece down. And I mean, obviously when I'm going to list this journal, you know, in my shop, I mean, of course I do understand that this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. You know, it's not going to be everybody's liking, of course, I do get that. But equally, you know, some people may feel attached to it, or maybe I'm just kind of kidding myself, I'm not sure. But I want to kind of, yeah, have a think about how I'm going to list it in my shop. It may be that it will sit there for months on end and not sell, you know, in which case I'll take back all I'm saying. But equally, it may be that it actually, you know, lots of people would want it, and then I don't want people to, well, I mean, obviously, you know, if several people wanted it, then obviously people are going to miss out because there's only one. But yeah, I'm not quite sure kind of whether to actually announce kind of when I will be putting it on the shop to give anyone who did want it the best chance of getting it. I can't help but feel that like that's being a bit presumptuous, and you know, I'm really not being at all, because you know, I do very fully get that it could just be sat there for weeks on end, you know, or months on end without selling. You know, I don't know kind of how is the best way to do it. You know, I don't want to be kind of really obnoxious about it and kind of think, oh well, everybody would want it, because actually, you know, maybe people wouldn't. I'm going to stick this one down with the hot glue because obviously it's got some glitter and things, so it's a little bit more resilient to the glue. It will stick with that glue, but it's quite resilient as in, you know, in the time that we have, I would need to keep pressing it, which I don't want to have to sit here doing that, because obviously I'm trying to get through the video reasonably quickly. So what I'll probably do is, once the journal is complete, whether or not that is today, you know, in this video, I don't know, I will then do a complete flip through of the completed journal, you know, when I'm going to be listing it in the shop. But yes, I'm not sure yet whether I should actually make an announcement then as to when I'm listing it. I really don't want people to think I'm being really arrogant or anything, because I really am not. But equally, you know, if there were people who wanted it, I would like to give them a chance, especially if they've followed along with the series, because it would be lovely to think it did go to somebody who'd followed along with the series and felt an attachment to the journal, if that makes sense. I mean, I actually feel an attachment to it myself, so I'm going to kind of feel like I'm losing a little bit of a friend actually when I get rid of it. Having done it all kind of, I'm just going to cut around the tag now, but leaving a kind of edge, unless I muck it up completely, and then I'd have to cut the edge off, but I'm hoping I'm going to be able to leave an edge around, kind of like a frame around the tag. Yeah, I have a bit of an attachment to it because it's been such a nice process for me, although I did have that wobble, you know, kind of a few episodes ago, where I just was very concerned that, you know, I'd kind of lost people's enthusiasm for it. But I do actually feel kind of an attachment to it, really. I do always feel a bit of an attachment, to be honest, to things that I create, and you know, but some more than others, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. And this is one of those things, because obviously, you know, it's been such a process doing it with you all, and that's a first for me as well. So I guess that also kind of made it extra special. Now I'm just going to pop a hole in the top. Oops, the big hole with my crocodile, like that. And then what I'm going to do is ink around the whole thing. Just to kind of vintage it up. Okay, I think that looks really pretty. You know, it's not the same, obviously, as this, but it's the same concept. So I'm going to move this to one side now, because obviously I'm not going to be putting that in the journal because it's, you know, not really matching at all. I'm just going to place a little hole protector there. And then what I've done is brought along this pink ribbon. Oh my gosh. Which, again, I had tried to ravel this up this morning, and then obviously it's escaped me and come unravelled. And we'll just literally tie a ribbon, and what I thought we'd do is have it kind of at the top, so as it's like on a loop. Like that. Come through. There we go. So there we go. Item number 3. It's not very speedy process, is it? Right, now let's try and speed things up a little bit. So what else have I brought along here? Right, I brought along one of my little pieces that obviously, you know, I did the tutorial for. And what I thought we could do is obviously include this in the journal. It's the certificate of baptism. It's got the butterfly on it, like I had done in my Ava journal. That was for Vicky. And what I thought we could do, just to tie it in to the journal, is just literally pop something from the journal onto it. And I thought that would just tie it perfectly to the journal. Now, as I say, I am very limited now on my little die cuts and things that I've got left, so I'm a little bit upset about that. So I'm going to have to use them sparingly, which is a shame. I mean, the teapot's rather sweet, isn't it? I don't want to use this, can you tell? I'm hoarding this now until I find the perfect place, because this is my last one of these little stacked teacups, and I really loved these, so I'm going to try and hold on to them for a tag. So, I mean, I think the teapot looks quite nice, and then what we could do, we could either have it on the certificate itself, so it's under the butterfly, or we can obviously have it on the butterfly. So I quite like it on the butterfly. I think that looks quite pretty. So I'm just going to literally glue that round and pop it on. I'm just going to have it kind of at an angle there. So that was a really nice speedy one. And to me, that's done. It looks lovely, very pretty. So nothing else needs to be done with that. So I'm going to put that to one side. Yay, and now we're 4. We have done 4 now. Now another speedy one here is I've got a stamped image of a postcard. I love using these, love using them for everything. I think they just work fabulously. I'm just going to cut it slightly straighter. You know, love using them as a pocket, love using them as a tag. So, you know, really versatile piece. And what I'll do is just ink around it. It's on cardstock, it's been coffee dyed, and obviously just stamped and then cut out. Really nice, and love how they just go with every single thing that I kind of put them with. So what we could do is kind of pop something on there, or to be honest, you know, it maybe doesn't need anything really. I mean, often I just use these on their own because actually I think they're, you know, they're pretty nice on their own. So might just do that. So that's another one down. Now what I have here is a little coffee dyed stamped image of this kind of pad. So again, I thought we could use this, and again I thought it's got a bit of decoupage here to the side. I think it will go quite nicely with the journal. The only bit I wasn't sure about was the leaf. So I thought again we could just cover the leaf up with something, and I think maybe that hot air balloon would kind of work quite well to cover. And I also have this little kind of perfume bottle, which again, you know, I just thought would go well with the colours in the journal, so we could use that. Got this here, the little things. Let's just ink that up by my Distress Ink sponge applicator thing. Whoa. So we could just kind of pop that like that. That's quite nice, I think. So because obviously we've got quite a few tuck spots in this journal and they're quite close to other things, so I just thought actually we could do with quite a few little pull-outs that are small. And I'm just going to cut the bottom because it's not very even. I just thought we could do with rough that up. I just thought we could do with a few smallish items that would just tuck neatly into a tuck spot. So that's another one obviously down, so that's really good. So I also thought we'd do a small pull-out booklet. So again, I just took some more of that scrapbook paper, but this time it's obviously a lot smaller. I have already folded it with the, you know, using the bone folder. And again, we can just fill that with some pages. Again, I have another page from the book. I don't know whether that would work that way round. Yeah, I think it will actually. And that way, obviously, we get to use it, you know, more than once. So I'll just try and fold that. Oops, to the side, like that. And what I'll do is round the corners again, like this. Now I'm just looking at the time, it's 11:05, so I'm going to have to stop this by about 20 to 12 at the latest. So I don't honestly think that we're going to get through all of these. We'll see, we'll see. And I don't want to be causing people you know, stress by keep mentioning the time, because, you know, I know that some people are very sensitive to things like that, and it makes, you know, it can make people feel very anxious. So I don't want to do that. You know, if we finish, we finish. If we don't, we don't. It's all good. It's all fine. You know, if we don't, I have another excuse to come back and bore you with yet another video. So, you know, it's probably better to take it in 2 videos rather than rush it and get it wrong. So right, Now again, I'm going to just literally paper clip this together because I'm going to have to fold it over here to staple it in place. On there, and on there. There we go. Come off. Right. So now this rather large sprig of flowers, I'm wondering if we can cut it at all so that, you know, it goes a bit further, because I am obviously, you know, running out of these embellishments that kind of coordinate, you know, beautifully with the journal. I'm now just thinking how I can kind of stretch them to their maximum. So it's a shame to cut this because it is really pretty how it is, but I am going to cut it because, you know, we can then actually hopefully get a bit more from it. So what I'm going to do is kind of cut it like that. Like that, and then could even cut these leaves. Oops. Cut that one around, and then kind of layer the leaves up like that, so they kind of cover up, whoops, technically where we've just cut. And this one looks perfectly fine actually, so you know that worked well. So again, just decorate the front of this little booklet. So what I might do is use some of this paper now that obviously we made the pink tag from, and I might just literally, might even just tear it. In fact, I might just tear it there and then cut it down. Obviously I unfortunately didn't get time yesterday to upload the cover. Hopefully by the time that I have uploaded this, the cover will then be on, if you see what I mean. I wouldn't obviously upload this without uploading the cover. I was so excited. That was my highlight of the day. We like to kind of do, what was your highlight of the day at dinner time, because I mean, that's kind of a mindfulness thing, and you know, allegedly kind of makes you, you know, really recall kind of what were your best parts of the day and appreciate kind of the little things. And my highlight of the day was completing the cover, because as I say, I had felt quite nervous about it, and it was kind of at the back of my mind all the time about how I was going to do the cover, and obviously I didn't really have a clue other than I wanted to use that dress. So I was thrilled with how it turned out. I thought it was really pretty. So hopefully kind of you guys all really liked how the cover turned out also. Now that looks really pretty to me. I did just wonder whether we could have a little bit of fabric here somewhere. Let me just, you know, cut just a little piece from the fabric that we've got on the cover. It's really nice to kind of use that and then tie it in, isn't it, to the journal. So I'm going to tear it down this side as well, like that. So we could have it there where that corner is kind of slightly short, if you see what I mean. Or we could have it kind of behind the flower, which was my original thought. Could have it kind of like that. Maybe make it a bit smaller. There, I think that looks really pretty. So just going to glue this on. You know, it really is just to decorate the covers of these little booklets and make them look quite pleasing to the eye, a bit more interesting than just kind of having the plain scrapbook paper, which equally, I mean, you could have just the plain. That's, you know, it's not horrible, it doesn't look horrible. I guess just I really like kind of decorating everything, so you know, for me that's just a little bit more fun. So we could have that like that. I wonder if we could even use this piece as well. You know, waste not, want not. No, that just definitely looks very strange. Right, so what I'm going to do is, before I pop the fabric on, I'm just going to ink up around the edge of the kind of booklet itself, because we obviously inked up the pink paper, but we haven't inked up the green. So like this. And what I might do is get rid of that long kind of piece. It's a little bit kind of too out to the side, isn't it? Like that. That looks pretty, I think. So we'll just glue that down just with the wet glue, which, as I say, you know, seems to work really well with the fabric. So that will just hold that in place like that. There you go. Oops. Oh, straighten out. Okay. And then we'll just glue down the flower. Oh, this flower's got loads of little little bits to try and get into, so it's a bit more fiddly to kind of glue down. So we just glue that there. And then what I'm going to do is just glue the leaves on just over that as well. Just to kind of, you know, for a bit extra really. And obviously it then covers up where we've cut them. There we go. So that's another one down. I have lost count now. Through my incessant talking, I've now lost count of where we're up to, but we must be a third of the way, I would have thought. And obviously I have got some tags and things that we can use. So what we might do next is, I have got this piece which I have had in my stash for quite a while. It's just literally a die cut, I think it was a K & Company piece, which I've had for a really long time. It's in a laminated, you know, it's been laminated, and I've just stamped on the corners. So again, I just thought colour-wise this went really nicely with the journal. Unfortunately, obviously this had been done a long time ago, so I haven't distress inked the, you know, this. But I don't mind that. I think that looks fine. Oh, I love the way those teacups look on that, but obviously I'm still holding on to them really for a tag. So let me see what else I have here that I have got left. Now, I have got this teacup, which was from some different die cuts, but I was thinking theme-wise, maybe this would tie in. It's actually from a company called Kanban. I don't know whether that's a, you know, thing that's international or whether that's just here in the UK. I don't honestly know. But again, I've had that in my stash for quite a while, and I just thought that may work, you know, colour-wise with, or sorry, theme-wise with the journal. The only thing that to me stands out is obviously those flowers are sort of blue rather than green. That, I'm sure, is me overthinking it and getting way too embroiled and, you know, fussy about things that really do not matter. So we could have that little perfume bottle actually to the side. That looks quite sweet. Or, you know, I could finally part with one more flower. I'm not sure whether I'm quite ready to, but we could. So if I just hold that to the side. I mean, that looks quite pretty. To be honest, most things that I've popped there have kind of looked quite good. So I quite like that, actually. Being very generous using both of those there. Now, I quite like that as a laminated piece, just kind of naked, if you know what I mean. But what we could do, again, just because I'm kind of conscious of the fact that this journal is quite full, is actually kind of, and again, I would sew this possibly, but because we're obviously doing this together, I will spare you you know, that. We could actually staple on some extra pages. So I'm just wondering, because actually I haven't really got many pages that would be large enough, I don't think, for this with me, and I don't want to obviously now. I have actually, because I brought along this whole sheet, which was an A3 piece. So what we could do is staple that on and then make it like a pad. So I think that's probably the best thing to do. I'm now covered in ink, which doesn't look very pleasant. So what I'm going to do, I will glue these two pieces on at the corner. But actually, sorry, just before I do that, I'm just going to trim it down slightly more, because again, I'm a bit worried that it won't fit in one of those pockets on the page. So I just want to make sure that it does. So if we just trim it down, then we know that it definitely will. And actually, I'm now just having a think, because you're not going to be able to get to the very first page. So let me think. Because this is a laminated piece, obviously it's not going to fold up. So although I have made obviously my transparencies, these are obviously a booklet, you see, so you have the journaling, you don't necessarily have to get under there, but because these are transparencies you could anyway, because they're very flimsy. This being laminated, obviously it's not so bendable, so I'm now thinking this is just some watercolour paper from a pad which I bought, because actually I rather like the texture of this, and it obviously is a lot thicker than copy paper, so when you're adding a lot of embellishments to a page, it's a lot more robust. So I have been using this lately in you know, my journals. What I try and do, if I can, is kind of mix it up, so you have some of this and some copy paper, but yeah, anyway, so that's where this comes from. It was just an A3 sheet. I've, you know, coffee dyed it, and I folded it up just so as it fits neatly to be able to bring it along. So let me just have a little think whether we could kind of make a booklet with this. The only page you wouldn't be able to get to is obviously the front page, because then you could obviously open it, although not necessarily if it's stapled. So let me just have a think. This is why you should never do things on the fly and kind of try and think up a new concept, because it's just not going to work, is it? The only other thing that would be quite good is maybe a brad or something, and then you could slide that out of the way and obviously get your pages. So I think that is what I'm going to do. So let's cut some pages. In fact, I don't need to have a folded page now. So if I do it that way, whether I could actually get a couple of pages out of that. Let's try. Cut that in half. Bone folder. And what I'm going to do, I will just tear this. And let's hope that because I'm on camera, I'm not going to actually just literally tear it. I mean, if I do, I do. It's, you know, doesn't really matter. Right. So that's a couple of pages, and actually they're a little bit long. And that edge is definitely not very straight. So let me cut that slightly more. Make that edge slightly straighter. At the end. And again, I mean, they don't have to be the same size pages. That's sometimes quite nice for interest, to have random size pages, isn't it? So let's do that. You know, the little kind of flip pads, they're quite nice, aren't they, with random size pages. So we could have it like that. Now, I don't know. Wow, I actually have got an eyelet. I wonder whether that would work. Or actually, now just having another thought, what we could do is pop an eyelet and then a bulb pin to hold the sheets together. And if it doesn't work, obviously, then we can always change it for, you know, something else. So I might do that. Now, I'm just wondering, did I have any more of the green paper that would kind of maybe look cute under there? It's not quite wide enough, but you see, I just wondered whether that would look quite pretty. To me, I quite like that. So let's chop this down a bit. Like that. Okay. I could always have it kind of slightly higher, couldn't I? So I just cut that to the side. Like that. And then the other pages. Oops. I mean, obviously there's no getting away from it because that piece is smaller, but I don't mind that. Now, the question is, do I wait and secure that with a brad when I am not on film? A brad would be my preference, but obviously, you know, I did really want to kind of do everything with you guys. So I'm just rummaging in my little tin here just to see whether I have a brad laying around anywhere. Because actually, I did take a brad out of something the other day when we were using those metal embellishments. And I wondered whether that was in here. Aha! I thought it was. So, although I come across very disorganised, you see, I'm actually more organised than I look. Right, now the next problem is going to be that obviously I don't have something sharp to pierce the hole. So now we're going to have to look for something sharp. And obviously I'm in my son's room, so it's not like he's got a needle or anything laying around. I wonder whether the paper clip will be sharp enough. Well, let's have a look. So I feel better using a brad, to be honest. So I think that's kind of the better way to go. So I might just, well, I don't want to lose that brad now. I might just distress ink up the edge of this paper. Like that. Like that. And then go to the corner. And then probably it's going to be best if I actually hold this together with a paper clip so that it's not, you know, moving about. So I have actually got it in the right spot. So if I secure that there. Now, I really could have done with a needle or something. So this is very wing and a prayer, you know, so wish me luck. I don't think this is going to work because I don't think this is going to go through the laminate. No, I don't think it is going to. It would go through the paper, no problem. But it's not going to go through the laminate, I think. I'm just wondering, any other option? I wonder if I could actually use my stapler kind of at an angle so that I have one edge of the staple. And then when I pull it out, I've got a hole, haven't I? I'm going to try that. Right, wish me luck. Aha! And for some reason I've now switched over to green staples in there. Right, pull the staple out. See, it's all just very make do on camera. Right, we could even have a flower on there now. There we go. So we put the flower through the brad, or the brad through the flower. Oh, now that hole's still not big enough, and I was feeling so pleased that I had managed to make a hole. Actually, I can't now even see the hole. Okay. Oh, come on. I was really thrilled that we'd overcome a problem on the film. Yay! I'm like, oh no, I haven't overcome it at all. Problem's still there. Nothing to make the hole with. Right. Now it's just a case of actually seeing where the other holes are. Oh, gosh. This is just, you know, improvisation, not the way to go on a video. Hurrah! Right. So we're going to fold them over like that, and I'm just going to press them down with scissors to make sure they're nice and secure. Well, hey! Now I love this, and obviously it just moves around and you have those extra pages. So wow, that was just done literally kind of wing and a prayer and kind of spur of the moment kind of idea, but I love how that turned out, so I might make some more of those in other journals. Now we were going to stick these on here, weren't we? So we could have them on there, or we could have them obviously underneath now. Nope, they get lost, you can't see them. Oh gosh, I hope I'm in frame, especially after all of that saga trying to get the hole in. Now I'm just going to pop the perfume bottle on. I love how this turned out. I mean, I have kind of said lots and lots of times about what a fan I am of kind of, you know, acetate or transparencies, the laminated items. I just think they add a completely different, well, I mean, obviously texture, but dimension, and they're very, very versatile, because I love the fact that you can layer up the different papers, you know, that you can see through, like this. I mean, obviously we can see the green stripe behind, and I just think that looks lovely. Okay, I feel really thrilled now, because I was very worried that that was all going to go horribly wrong, as it was kind of just completely improvised. Now, what we should do, because it's now 11:30, so what I'm going to do is pull the journal down, and we're just going to pop some of these items in so that we can get a clearer idea of how many more we have left to go. So I do really apologise that we have not managed to do more than this. I would have loved, obviously, to have done more than this. But time has just literally run away this morning, because obviously, you know, there's so many to do. So obviously in the front, we already had this tag, which originally I kind of said may or may not keep it. But obviously, you know, it does look quite cute in there, so I think we will keep it. So the next area was here. Now, we're not necessarily going to put these in order or anything. We're just going to put them where we think looks good. But we could have kind of that little one in there, would be quite nice. Now the side of here is one of the pockets, so we could just pop this one here into the pocket like that. And then here we've got a couple of tuck spots, so we have a tuck spot here, we could pop that in, that looks quite good. And then actually, just for kind of ease of, you know, let's be really speedy, we have another one here. We could use this that has already been folded and completed. If I just round the corners, and then I will just ink it up slightly, because then that's a really nice speedy way of, you know, kind of adding a tag and filling the journal up nicely. So we'll pop that in there. Looks sweet. Now over here we've got obviously a corner tuck spot, and we can just pop the postcard in there. That works really nicely. And then in the side we've obviously got another one of those large pockets, so we can pop in, I wonder if our tag will fit, or whether it's actually too big for there. Nope, that does fit, so that's brilliant. And obviously the tag on the back, sorry, is just the plain buff file folder, so you know, that's that. Right, that goes in there. Now these ones are all now quite big to go into the tuck spots. These are obviously for the side pockets, but I have brought along you know, a few things that we can slot in. So I have got this stamped image here. So this is just a Crafty Individuals stamp, and it's just been stamped on some pink coloured cardstock, which has been coffee dyed. So I just thought this was a nice quick way, again, of getting a smallish item to put into the pages. So I'm just going to distress ink it around the edges, and then it will just slot in. And obviously it's plain on the back, so there's just room for journaling there, which, you know, is great. So we could just pop that in there like that. This actually was another pocket, which I had forgotten that was a pocket. I wonder if that little laminated piece will fit. Not quite. I have got a laminated frame. Sorry, not a laminated frame, a transparency frame. So I can pop that in there. So that's those two pockets full. And then here, obviously, we've got another side pocket. So we can pop in one of our booklets like that. And in here, we did actually have a little tiny tuck spot. Now this was very fragile paper, if you recall, so I'm just going to pop in this acetate piece here, because that's, in fact I'm not, because then that's very similar to what's on the facing page. I have got this, which I just found in my stash this morning when I was getting my things ready to bring down. It's just been kind of spraying onto just white card, and it's just got these lines on it. Unfortunately, it's not been coffee dyed, so I'm just going to ink up the back. But I mean, it again is just for another pull-out card. So, you know, it's not necessarily very exciting or anything, but I just thought it, you know, it helps to fill the book, and obviously it's not very fat, so it's not going to damage this paper. So that's that. Obviously the booklet's in there now. Here, I think, no, we didn't do those as tuck spots. We've got this one as a tuck spot. So again, I've got a little acetate piece that I thought would just slot in there. And then this, we actually stuck this down as a tuck spot, but I wondered actually whether we might have been better to have it as a pocket. But I think we did it so that there was plenty of room behind it. So I might come back to that one. We obviously have a pocket here and we've got a pocket here. But at the moment, what I'm going to do is pop in these large booklets into the side pages. So this one here is not a pocket. So that's that one. This one is a pocket. So we'll pop that one in there like that. And that one's not a pocket. This one is. So we'll pop this one in here. Oops. And that one is a pocket. So we need something else for in there. Now, just wanted to see how much that's bulked out the journal before we get too much, you know, too much more. So it is very bulky now. So what I think really going forward is kind of really keep the rest of the embellishments very much to kind of paper items. So for instance here, I have this invoice, which is just from my paper ephemera. So if I just cut this out, it's just been copied and coffee dyed. Like that. Just cut at the bottom. And then what we can do is literally just fold this over. And then kind of slot it in somewhere. I'm just going to cut that actually at the bottom because that's hideously crooked. I don't mind things being slightly crooked, but that was just appalling. In fact, now it's even worse. This is because I'm now brushing. Right, let me cut it in. Okay, that's better. So what we could do is have this kind of somewhere, and what we could do, what I have done quite a bit recently, is obviously stick on something that coordinates with the journal. So we could, for instance, pop this teapot on here, you know, which then looks quite cute. I'm just wondering where this would be best placed, but maybe behind here, if it's not too long, which actually I think it is going to be. So maybe what we could do is cut it down at the sides, although it hasn't got much room there for cutting down, and we could have slotted it inside this envelope, but I don't think we've got room. So what I might do is use this to go into here, into this pocket. So let's pop this teapot on here. You know, to me that just ties that in really nicely to the journal. Like that. And we just have that on there. Super cute, I think. I mean, very random because this is for a decorating manufacturer, and it's yeah, an invoice for painting brushes and things. So strange to have tea, although builders and decorators and things, they are renowned for loving their tea. So, but I just think that looks really cute. So then we can just pop that into that side pocket like that. Okay, now just again for speed, I just have a few things here ready, kind of made. So we could just pop this one. It's just got a stamped image of a bird, and it's just a card, you know, because that then again, it's not kind of too bulky or anything. It's just going to kind of slot there nicely. Obviously I am aware that I have got these bits that I've been hoarding left to use. So what we'll do is somehow use these last little bits up for the last, you know, tags or fillers, if you like. Yeah, I think we'll kind of have to do that, but we are going to have to do that in another video, I'm afraid, which I'm really gutted about. So because I really had hoped to kind of get this done and dusted, but I mean, as you can see, it's very chunky now. So I think really we are only going to be able to do one more tag as such, because obviously, you know, it is very full. And then the other things are going to have to be kind of paper ephemera. I have this, for instance, that was in my paper ephemera, you know, and we will just kind of tie that in again, maybe kind of by adding, you know, something from these embellishment packs, because I really think we can't now have too much else bulking the journal out, because otherwise you begin to kind of compromise the actual structure of the book. Yeah, anyway, so I hope that you all enjoyed that. I really do apologise that we have not managed to literally complete the tags and things. I really had hoped that we would, but don't worry, we will definitely complete them next time, I'm sure, because we really are now on the home stretch. So thank you very much for tuning in yet again, and I will see you next time yet again. So thanks a lot, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks, bye.